which is the angel of what? Listen, when you read that description there in Revelation 9, what are you reading about? You're reading about a bunch of angels that have been confined and chained where? And what do they look like? They look like a fourth this, a fourth this, a fourth that. They don't look like angels anymore, do they? And I know, you know how you know that that's not talking about locusts that eat your crops? Because that passage says that they have a king over them. Go read in the Old Testament where it says that the natural locusts that are on earth don't have a king. And notice what else it says here. Look at verse 11. They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, who in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, and in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon. Guess what those terms mean, folks? Destroyer. So you have during the tribulation, the bottomless pit is opened up, and these freak angels, basically, for lack of a better term, are belched up onto the earth, and they go out with the sole purpose of doing what? Are those angels that they're described there, are they in the original state that God created them in? No. Have they suffered degeneration as a result of their confinement in the bottomless pit? Now come with me to Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1. Notice verse 23. Verse 22. Professing themselves to be wise, they became what? Fools. Notice, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible what? Now notice the degeneration here. Into corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and to what? It starts with a man, and it ends up with a bug you can what? Step on. You see that? Come with me to Job. Job chapter 25. That is what the mind of unsaved man did to the glory of God. They took the glory of God, and they so perverted it, they so distorted it, and they brought so much degeneration to it that they end up with giving glory to a bunch of creeping things. Job chapter 25. Now some of you are going to start seeing this thing come into some focus here. Job chapter 25. Look at verse 6. Verse 6. How much less man that he is a what? A worm. And the Son of Man, which is a what? Now, do you remember reading anything in this series of studies about worms? Mark chapter 9. Why don't you go there? While you're going there, get Isaiah 66 too. So you need Isaiah 66 and Mark chapter 9. I know you love it when I do that to you. Isaiah 66 and Mark chapter 9. Isaiah 66 and Mark chapter 9. Now, I want you to get the Isaiah passage first. Isaiah 66. Apparently I didn't have that one in the notes. But anyway, we'll look at it. Back that off for now. Look at Isaiah 66. Look at verse. Isaiah 66, verse 24. We read this passage 2 weeks ago when we were discussing hell, the reality of hell on earth during the millennium as a monument to sin. Verse 23, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. That's in the millennium. Verse 24, and they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of men that have what? Transgressed against me. Notice, for their what? Worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be what? Quenched. And they shall be abhorring unto all what? Job chapter 25 said that man is a what? Worm. When the passages describe what people are going to look over into hell and see during the millennium, it says they're going to see a bunch of what? Come with me to Mark chapter 9. Verse 43. Mark 9, 43. If thy hand offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands to go down into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched. Notice verse 44, where their worm, what? Dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. Look at verse 48. Verse 46. Where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not what? Look at verse 47. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out. It is better for thee to enter into the kingdom of God with one eye than having two eyes to be cast into hell fire. Verse 48. Where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not what? Now you say, what is that about? Well, let me try to give you some understanding of that. Come with me, if you would, to Psalm 22. Psalm 22. Psalm chapter 22, look at verse 1. My God, why hast thou what? Where'd you ever read that before? Where'd you ever hear that before? Who said that? Christ said that. When did He say it? When He died on the cross. He says, while He's on the cross, He says, my God, why hath you what? Skip down to verse 7. And all that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip. They shake the head, saying, He trusted on the Lord, that He would deliver him. Let Him deliver him, seeing He delighteth in him. But thou art He that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts. Verse 10. I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my God from my mother's belly. Be not far from me, for trouble is near. For there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. They gape upon me with their mouths. As a ravening and a roaring lion. Verse 14, I am poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted in the midst of my bowels. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaveth to my jaws. And thou hast brought me into the dust of what? Death. 16, for dogs have compassed me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierce my hands and my feet. I may tell all my bones. They look upon me. They look upon and stare upon me. Verse 18, they part my garments among them, and they cast lots upon my what?